All right, feeling all right. Ain't feeling too good myself. This is a Dave Mason song from who's a British musician in Traffic. The group Traffic, started by Steve Winwood in the late 60s. And one of his best known songs, Dave Mason was a guitarist and songwriter. And probably the person who had the biggest hit with this song was Joe Cocker, who played with the likes of Leon Russell. And Joe Cocker was a great R&B Welsh singer, and had a really good hit with this one. And what I'm demonstrating with this one is kind of a funky rhythm, and this is funky from early 70s. You know, it's funk, you know, kind of changed depending on what decade you're in. But this is early funky, you know, kind of funky R&B, and you're doing this kind of exact same strum all the way through. And one thing about this song is back when I was around 16 or so, if I went to a jam session, we'd always end up jamming on this song, you know, because it's only two chords really through the whole song. It's just these two chords, and they, you know, bump it up a little bit during the chorus, but it's still the same chord changes. There's no bridge. There's no different chords on the refrain. It's exactly the same two chords. So if you could do an E7 and an A7, you can play Feelin Alright all night long. And so the first thing is again, we're doing an E7, which is like an E major with the pinky added. And that's kind of a brighter sounding E7 than if you just did a two finger E7 like that, which has its place, you know, but this one you want the brighter sound with the pinky on the second string. And then the A7, I'm doing a blues fingering, a fingering I like a lot because it's less crowded than if you did three fingers plus the fourth finger. That's four fingers. That's pretty crowded in there behind that second fret with those three fingers. So what I do is I put the second finger on the second string, second fret, second finger, second string, second fret, and I've got it normally bent, you know, just bent like you would play a straight note there. And then the first finger is sort of behind it, and it's kind of slanting in, and it's barring, flattening over the third and fourth strings on the second fret. And it's not really quite up to the fret, though. If you slant in, you can get the tip of the finger pretty close to the fret and kind of curl around the second finger. So you kind of come in at an angle a little bit. And so you're just flattening the first finger, kind of like making a capo out of your first finger. And you're just collapsing that first joint. That's all you need to do. Make sure the second joint, though, is kind of tented up like that. So the first joint's collapsed, the second joint is up, and it kind of locks in there. You know, you don't want it wiggling around like that, but if you put some pressure on it, it'll lock it in there, and you won't have to worry about it. But if you do relax, if you pull your hand down too much, it might uncollapse. You know, you want it collapsed. So you're collapsing the first finger, but not the second finger. And then you want to use your pinky on the third fret of the first string. That's what makes it a seventh chord. And don't use your third finger. You might think that's logical to do first, second, and third fingers, but for one thing, it's a little bit of an uncomfortable stretch, and it's a little more comfortable with the pinky. And there's a lot of seventh chords and diminished chords and things like that where we traditionally use second and fourth finger, choosing that over second and third. It just works out really well that way. And there's a lot of reasons which I don't want to get into, but use your pinky, not your third finger on that. Okay? And then if you noticed after I did the first line a couple of times, I did this on and off with the pinky. So, and then did the same thing on the A7, moved across the street like that, okay? So now the first, well, let's talk about the rhythm, and that's very important with this funky strum to do the upstrokes in the right place, and you have kind of an offbeat tie. You're tying the second eighth note of the fourth beat into the first eighth note of the first beat of the next measure. I know that sounds really complicated, but basically you're tying one eighth note to another eighth note through the bar line of the measure. And so you've got that, it's like 4 and 1 and 2. So when you go like 1, 2, 3, 4 and 1 and 2. So when you count through a tie, I think it's good to count the beat that you're not playing. In this case, we're not playing 1, but we're playing the and after 1. So it's 4 and 1 and 2. And the strum there is down, up, down. So you're playing the upstroke on the off beats, and we're skipping the 1, which is a downbeat. So it's 2 ups in a row, down, up, down. And then the next 2 beats you're going down, up, down. So the rhythm, let me just play the open string of each chord in the rhythm, and I'll do the upstrokes where they need to be applied. So it's like, and I'll count the rhythm so that you can learn to count this properly. It's really important to understand the rhythm, not just wing it by ear, because, you might get it right, you might have a great ear, you might be a musical genius, but you might not, or there might be one complicated rhythm that you just can't quite get. So it's always good to be able to count it, and it's not hard to count. It's really easy to count. So here's the beats. You start with 2 quarter notes, actually 3 quarter notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, and 2, 3, and 4. And you're going down, 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 up, down, down, up, down. Then you go to the A string, and it's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, and 2, 3, and 4. Down, 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 up, down, down, up, down. Back to the E string. Da, 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 da. And then you can just expand that to strumming the chord. You start with 2 bass notes. When I was hitting the 2 open strings, I was taking my time making the chord, and that gives you 2 beats to put your fingers down on the chord. So, good practice would be to put your hand down on your knee, and then as you're playing those first 2 beats, see if you can get into the chord. So you can take 1 beat to put 3 fingers down, and then when you strum it, actually you can take 2 beats to do that. And then on the third beat, put your pinky down right when you strum. And you don't have to put them all down like you're changing chords on a dime. And these are, kind of complex chords, some of the more complex ones that we've done so far. A lot of people have trouble with this E7, just the stretch and everything, but if you let your first finger kind of arch out that way, as if it's leaning to the left, and then the pinky kind of leaning to the right, then you've got this kind of sort of flower petal thing. This one's going this way and this one's going that way, and then the second and third fingers can be kind of like they're taped together, so that gives you more of a spread than if you try to get them all crunched up real tight. You don't want them all real tight. Loosen up and let them spread out kind of in a curve, and that helps with the E7. So in those two open strings, you can be fingering the chord. See, I'm not, when I first hit the bass note, I haven't got the chord yet, and I'm getting it down. So it gives you some time, and you want to just keep that rhythm going. Kind of gives the funkiness to it. And so when you do the second line, which is the pinky on and off, it's off, on, off, off, on, off, on. So be careful, like you might try just playing the two bass notes and then and then O, 3, 3, 3, O, 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 3, O, 3, 3, 3, O, 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 3, and make sure you're going down, down, up, down, down, up, down, 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 up, down, down, up, down. Okay, so that's a little bit tricky, but it gives us some variety. It's good to do that kind of thing, and it's really easy to just take the pinky on and off. And then in the end, you go like 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and you can kind of slow down like you're coming up to a stop sign or going up into a garage in your driveway. You slow down, you don't speed up going into the garage, right? You slow down a little bit. And at the end, you can do that. So actually, the song goes pretty fast. It's like with the Joe Cocker version. Let's see, I think I need a change of scene every night. Strangest dream, something like that. I don't know the lyrics, but then let me just play it up to speed. I'll repeat the top line, repeat the second line, and then do the ending. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. Keep it loose. Flub that ending a little bit, but that's okay. I was putting on the brakes. So, feeling all right. I ain't feeling too good myself. If you don't know the song, look it up on YouTube and listen to the Dave Mason version. It's a little more folk rock type thing than the Joe Cocker version, which is really a funky band, you know, with Leon Russell and probably horns and background singers and all kinds of stuff. So have fun with this one. This is a cool song. And this strum, this funky strum, you can use it in a lot of different songs. You know, anytime you need to get a little bit funky, try this, you know.